Hey folks, welcome back to Advent of Code in F#. This is it. This is the big one, day 25. Actually, it's not a big one. It's a really fast one. Or at least the way I solved it was a really fast one. I think you can go crazy and do all kinds of graph algorithms for day 25, but I actually did not do that. I did a shortcut. So let's take a look at what day 25 is again. There we go. There we go. So day 25 is asking us to figure out, given this graph, we've seen this before in one of the previous days, this notation. It's a graph notation, or it describes a graph, and we need to figure out like, this is one big graph, and you can cut 3 edges out of this graph, and then you should end up with 2 subgraphs. And we need to figure out how big each of the 2 subgraphs is for part 1. Cool. So there's multiple ways of doing this. I saw a lot of people use a lot of complicated max flow, min cut, random algorithms. One that I found very interesting is called Karger's min cut algorithm. It uses a bit of a randomization and a lot of repetition to figure this out. And I might implement this algorithm if I find the time, because it sounds really cool. But that's not how I initially solved it, actually. I solved it using SVG. So let's dive into the code. There's a bit of code, not much. So this was the graph syntax we got, and I just parsed it into GraphViz. We used that as well for one of the previous days to render a graph. Let's see, do I have my graph somewhere here? Oh yeah, there it is. Let me open it up. Let me open it up in something that renders graphs. There we go. It's Edge. Why not? No, let's do this. Okay, there we go. So this is what my input graph looks like once I parsed it to dot syntax. And as you can see, it's a very big, highly connected graph. It keeps going up, but then suddenly there's 3 edges. So visually, we can easily see which 3 edges we need to cut to divide this beast of a graph into 2 distinct subgraphs. And you can figure out which graphs these are with an SVG editor or something. But I just did something even simpler. I just opened the SVG file in my SVG editor. Inkscape is a great one because it's free. There we go. And I just, first I inspected the HTML of my graph, which is this beast of an HTML file. So that's the entire SVG source code. And if you do a control find on class equals node, that's every node element in this graph. And if I count those up, I see that I have 1,423 nodes in my graph. So I make a note of that. And then we just need to figure out the size of one of those 2 subgraphs. And I just do it by manually selecting one of those subgraphs, deleting it, and saving the remaining graph as another SVG file, which I did here. So this is the left subgraph with the right one gone. And if I do the same count, so I count how many nodes I have 717. And if I know the total and one of these sides, I know the other one, and then I can just multiply. So this was a hacky, quick and dirty solution for day 25, but for day 25, that's allowed. It's actually allowed for every day, don't worry. But I did not do any complicated graph algorithms, although I'm tempted, but I don't have that much time left. And it's February already, so off to greener pastures. That's how I solved day 25 in Advent of Code, with a little bit of F#. Let's be honest here. So yeah, quick recap of the Advent of Code. It was a hard year, y'all. It's either that it's a hard year or I'm getting old, but I struggled with many a puzzle this year. I learned a lot as well. But in the end, I had a lot of fun, and I hope you did too. I might do a quick recap of like all the interesting things I learned. If that sounds interesting to you, please shout out in the comments below. And otherwise, I hope to see you again next year for more Advent of Code fun. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.